What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Ben and JV from JBM Sports Media coming at you guys with our NBA 2025 Western Conference predictions. We're about to get into it. We have the tier list right here. Let's just go over the little bracket right here. First place, second to fourth place, fifth to sixth place. Obviously, we have the play-in and teams that are not going to make it. JV, before we get into it, shoot me your thoughts. What do you think real quick?
So I first of all, I can't believe basketball is literally a week away, which is completely wild. It's that time of year where we're starting to get ready. Baseball's coming to an end, football's in the middle, getting spicy, and now we got basketball just to add to the craziness. So it's just getting better and better as the weeks go on. So I'm really excited, and especially because with the Western Conference, just to get into the Western Conference like we're doing tonight, it's such a crazy conference and it's super talented, and it's always a crapshoot of where you could put teams, and you could literally place teams left, right, center, whatever you want to do, and in certain spots. And it's almost like you can't be wrong, but it's also just very hard because for me, it's like these 10 teams that could make the playoffs are just so good. It's really the depth in the Western Conference is crazy.
It is. It's absolutely nuts. We're gonna get into the teams that are gonna miss it right now. To start off, we'll start off through our 15 to 11 seed. But even that, there's teams that are in there I could see giving a shot to make the play-in and fight for a playoff spot. Should we start right now? I think we shall. All right, so yeah, I think without a doubt, the worst team we think possibly even in the NBA going to be this year, we have the Utah Jazz. Can you agree with that, JV?
Absolutely.
I mean, if we really want to be honest, there's not a lot of things that this team has to look forward to other than their young development of like Ace Bailey, Keontae George. When it comes to Lauri Markkanen, obviously all-star player, I think that he might potentially get traded at the trade deadline. I think it should be the year that he does get traded. Who knows if that's going to happen, but we have them obviously finishing in last place, finishing 15th. And yeah, there's no doubt about that one. All right, let's continue right here. JV, if you want to shoot the other one, we basically have an agreement on who's not going to make it right here.
Yeah, so basically, I think the team right behind the Jazz would be the Portland Trailblazers.
Absolutely,
that's just my opinion. I know they got Dame back. Great veteran presence, someone who started their career there, but he's going to be out for the year, and he's just not going to make an impact yet on that young roster. And I just don't see them making the play-in or the postseason for that matter.
Yeah, and they have some great young talent as well. Obviously, another year of Chauncey Billups being the head coach there in Portland. Shaedon Sharpe had a great March last year. I mean, I've looked at his numbers. I would be very optimistic. He now has a Jrue Holiday veteran on his team, so let's see where that goes. Another year of Donovan Clingan. I mean, they have some good young talent right there. I wouldn't be surprised if they fight for the 11th seed to 12th seed. A little bit better. Because I did like how they finished off the year last year in March. So I will say that. Yeah. But regardless.
And they do have some injuries too. I mean, they have, Scoot Henderson's hurt.
He's hurt Dame's right now. Yes, he
is. Dame's obviously hurt. Matisse Thybulle's been hurt. They have a lot of key guys that could give them some quality minutes that are questionable to start the season. You know what I mean? So I just don't see them making it, as we were saying earlier.
Absolutely. All right, now on to another team we do believe is going to finish in the bottom tier of the Western Conference. I think we could agree with this, JV. There's a lot of uncertainties when it comes to the New Orleans Pelicans, and I'll let you get into it a little bit.
Yeah, they're just too injured. I think they're oft-injured and oft-injured bunch. What are you going to get from Zion? What's going to happen with the other veterans there? CJ McCollum being there as well. It's a tough.
Well, he's in Washington actually, JV. He's in
sorry. Yes, I'm sorry about that. Yes. But yeah, so there you go. They got rid of certain guys, and now who do they rely on if Zion's not there? So if Zion's not there and he's oft injured, that whole roster seems to be oft injured. So for me, I just don't see them as somebody in the West making any headway.
And I don't blame you for forgetting that. I mean, now they do have Jordan Poole, but defensively they're going to struggle big time on this team. I look at losing Brandon Ingram, another score. He's in Toronto now. We're going to get into the East in a later video that you guys will find on this page. But look, this Pelicans team defensively is going to struggle big time. We know the concerns that Zion Williamson has injury-wise. Look, that's a big issue and has been a big issue. Yes, we've seen the media day photos just like everybody. He looks slimmed down. He looks better. But we need to see it on the court to really trust it. And I think that's a big thing for the New Orleans Pelicans this year, trusting that Zion could deliver a full-blown season, at least in my opinion, 60-plus games for them, at least, bare minimum, because he needs to show out this year. It's a big year for him. If not, we'll talk about that maybe midway towards the season, but who knows if the Pelicans would explore parting ways in the offseason or anything like that. Maybe, closing that chapter, because it's really been underwhelming if you really want to look at it from a hindsight perspective.
Yeah, and now they got, Dejounte Murray, I believe, is injured too. So like I said, that they have key players that aren't going to be potentially starting the season. So, I mean, Dejounte Murray is one of their bigger point guards. And I know him not starting the season is a really big miss for them, because I think that's going to facilitate their offense. And if they're not going to have their guys, like we were saying, they're not going to make any sound in the West.
Yes, absolutely. All right, well, now we're going to get into the 12th seed we have, it's crazy thinking about where they were a few years ago. We have the Phoenix Suns. What a drop-off this team has had, man. What a drop-off.
I mean, I think that's like a compliment, saying a drop-off. It's a complete 180 of a franchise. To have them in this 4 and with this mix of not making the postseason is crazy to me. I mean, just a couple of years ago, they were title contenders, and now they're at the bottom of the conference. So basically, with Kevin Durant and losing him, going to Houston, this team is going to be offensively different, and also
yes,
they have a lot. They do have a couple of veterans. They got Grayson Allen, but they have a lot of rookies too on this team that are going to be making an impact, and you're going to see a lot of minutes from them. What are we going to get from Devin Booker? What are we going to get from Jared Butler? We have, Colin Gillespie, Jalen Green. I think he's potentially maybe good to come back on opening night. I know he's been dealing with a hamstring. So it's really shocking to me that we have to put them in the bottom 4, unfortunately, in the Western Conference.
Yeah,
absolutely. And not being a factor, honestly. Even if they make some trades to help themselves out, I just don't see how or what those trades are going to be to help this team propel themselves into making a playoff spot.
And not even just that. If you look at the state of the Suns, them going all in, trading for Bradley Beal, trading for Kevin Durant when he was with the Nets, it just hasn't panned out. And it makes me think, what is the leash on Devin Booker with the Suns? I know he had the 2-year extension that he signed this offseason. I believe it was 2 years, $150 million. Crazy money, yes.
Right.
I'm assuming he really loves that team. He loves the franchise that is Phoenix. But I'm assuming if I'm him too, and kind of in a Giannis type of point of view, he wants to win. I think he knows winning with this Suns team right here is not really that reasonable. They have a lot of they had a pretty successful draft. Maluwatch, I was a big fan of that signing right there. Coming out the draft, they drafted him. So yeah, there's going to be some highlights, but I think there's going to be a lot of lowlights for the Suns this year, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So let's move into the 11 team just missing it. I could see them making the playoffs, but JV, we do have this in agreement. We have the Phoenix Suns. I mean, not the Phoenix Suns, excuse me. The Sacramento Kings missing the play-in just barely, but the 11 seed. We'll kind of get into Sacramento and their team real quick.
So, I mean, they have a lot of upside. There is a lot of talent there. Again, the teams that we have making it are just clear-cut better than the Kings roster. If you go up and down the roster, there's a lot of youth, there's a lot of inexperience when it comes to playoff experience. So to me, it's just like, I think they're a couple of years away. I think they're actually a very well coached team. I think last year they made great strides in that Western Conference. But you guys have certain injuries again. Keegan Murray, you have Malik Monk that are injured. Those are pretty decent injuries before the season's even starting. And what are they going to get from like DeMar DeRozan? Is he going to be a guy that is able to produce for them? There's too many question marks for me for the Kings right now in a really, really strong Western Conference for me to say that they're convincing me that they could be a play-in, and I just don't see it this year from this squad.
You know what? I 100% agree with you. I think, those guys are getting older. DeMar DeRozan's getting older. Zach LaVine, yes, they traded for him. I understand that. De'Aaron Fox is no longer there. Sabonis, in my opinion, I love what he does. I think he's going
to give you a double-double every night. He's not the issue there, unfortunately.
And, he's a very underrated player in this league, Domantas Sabonis, I feel like. Keegan Murray now being hurt to start off the year, I think that's a little bit of a blow. So I just feel like this team is going to be scrappy and trying to get some wins here and there. But at the same time, I don't really see it being a play-in teams. But we're about to get into our play-in teams now. who has a shot of making the playoffs. And I think we'll start off with one team right here that we for sure have making the play-in, and we see them
Absolutely.
improving with obviously the benefits of one guy leading this Spurs team. And yes, we have the Spurs making the play-in. This means that they could be anywhere from 7 to 10, anywhere. But leading the Spurs, we have Victor Wembanyama and another year of his progression. He's healthy now. The blood clots thing, thankfully, have gone away. So
Yeah, thank God.
this is obviously a big thing for the Spurs, who obviously they had a good draft. They drafted Dylan Harper. I'm very excited to see how he's going to translate. Yeah. Stephon Castle won Rookie of the Year last year for them. They still have Vassell, Sochan, De'Aaron Fox is now in San Antonio. They have a lot of guards over there. But guess what? Harrison Barnes even had some good minutes for them. They got some good veterans.
Yeah, I was about to say that they took Harrison Barnes from Sacramento too. So listen, exactly. this was a team that I wanted to put in the top 8. I've really struggled keeping them off. I think they have such good talent, both young and a great mix of veterans, that it's so healthy for Wembanyama to have. He has a great amount of youth with him and a great amount of veteran presence with him. And I really think that this team, is going to take off. I think in the next 5 years, we're going to be talking about them being in the top 5 in the Western Conference if they could keep this nucleus that they have. But right now, they're definitely, without a doubt, one of the teams that will be in the play-in. 100%. There's no questions about it.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. I think they're going to have a lot of improvements as long as Wemby stays healthy, in my opinion. Absolutely. I can see him finishing even, I don't know if this is a big stretch. They obviously have to be at least a top 8 seed for him to finish like top 5 in MVP, but I could see him having a tremendous year, winning a Defensive Player of the Year. The stats that he provides defensively are insane. So
absolutely, and if De'Aaron Fox could stay healthy, because I know right now
that's another point.
I believe I was reading earlier he's dealing with a hamstring as well, which I think in the past he's had some hamstring issues. But if he could stay healthy, it's only going to help Harper so much. He kind of needs De'Aaron Fox there to try to guide him and go off of his game and see how he fits, facilitates the offense. So if he could be out there, it only helps Harper to me in his development as well.
Absolutely. We're very high on the Spurs. We're looking for another progression of a year for Victor Wembanyama. Let's get into another play-in team we do have. We thought of actually dropping them for a second because of just in general, will they even finish a top 10 seed in the Western Conference, how loaded it is? And that is the Memphis Grizzlies right here, ladies and gentlemen. So, JV, get into why you almost thought, and JV was the main one, guys. He almost thought about dropping them, actually.
I almost dropped them for the Spurs, honestly, the Mavs as well. I had a couple of teams in there that I was really struggling to go with. But if you look at up and down their lineup, they're injured. Jaren Jackson Jr. is hurt. John Moran is hurt. Right now, Scottie Pippen Jr. is hurt. They have a lot of key guys that are going to be potentially missing opening day next week. I'm not really confident because they had injuries last year too, and now they lost Bane as well. I believe Bane's in Orlando now, so that's a key shooter that's off their team. I want to see how a guy like Ty Jerome is gonna fit. Maybe getting more minutes. We'll really see. I do have them obviously in the play-in, but it's going to be by the skin of their teeth. I don't think it's going to be an easy road for the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, I honestly had the thought of maybe putting the Kings over them as a play-in team, but I did end up saying that if the Grizzlies somehow get healthy and have a good stretch, I could see them still being a play-in team, a top 10 seed in the Western Conference. John Moran being injured right now, Jaren Jackson's injured, Zach Edey's going to miss some time, and he was very good for them this past year. So honestly, it's a lot of question marks there. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is now there in the Desmond Bane trade. So will they find a way to still click and, maybe be a play-in team? I'm going to go with yes. I think that they're going to find a way to still make it into the play-in. Let's move on because, yes, the Grizzlies, there's some question marks there, but we do believe they're going to be a play-in team. Let's move on to another team that we agree will be a play-in team. I'll talk very highly about them because I love their depth, and that's the Dallas Mavericks, ladies and gentlemen. We have the Mavericks in the play-in. I think they could finish anywhere from 8th to 9th. I personally have them finishing 8th. I think JV has them finishing 9th or 10th. I'm not sure. But getting into the Mavericks right here, obviously the number one thing we have to talk about is Cooper Flagg, the number 1 overall pick, now in Dallas. I've seen some preseason highlights. The kid looks nice. They're going to play him at point guard this upcoming preseason game. I think that'll be actually very great. I think he could provide some straight up impact. It's not like a rookie that's going into a bad situation with a bad team. This team actually has some depth enough to where they could compete on a nightly basis. Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, Klay Thompson, D'Angelo Russell, Max Christie, who I'm a big fan of from that Luka trade going back to Dallas. So I think this Mavericks team is going to be competitive. And when Kyrie Irving comes back and this team is fully clicking, guys, I do believe defensively and offensively, it's going to be a very good all-around basketball team. JB, I'll let you talk about the Mavericks real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, with the way they looked last year trading Doncic, it almost looked like that whole organization was going down the tubes, to be honest with you. I mean, they wanted it looked like they wanted blood just by trading Doncic and going after it looked like their fans were going to go after them. So to see them that, we have faith in them to make a play-in game, to me is awesome. I'm a little concerned about that the injuries to their guards. They have a lot of guards that are injured. Obviously, Kyrie being one of them, but you got D'Angelo Russell, who was a little banged up. You have Dante Exum was a little banged up. Brandon Williams was a little banged up. That's basically their three biggest guards right there. Not adding Kyrie into that mix, but I do want to see them get a little bit healthier to make me feel a bit more confident about this pick. But as long as they're healthy, I think they'll be okay. But I am a little concerned that they have four guards that are hurt right now.
That's fair enough. I think the Anthony Davis injury concerns is why I dropped them. At best, I could see this team being a 7 seed without Kyrie, 8 seed without Kyrie. Once he gets back into the fold, I believe in January, February-ish, yeah, this team is going to take over and be ready for the playoffs because I think they're going to be a playoff team when the time comes. I think they'll get out the play-in. So let's get into a team that we believe is going to fall in the play-in that last year was actually in the Western Conference Finals, guys, which is kind of crazy. But we both have an agreement that this team is due for a little bit of a drop-off. And yes, I can see it happening. JV can see it happening. And that's the Minnesota Timberwolves, guys. JV, get into it real quick. How do you see this team? People are probably yelling at us in the chat right now, going ballistic. Tell them what you think right now, and I'll get into my depth and my analysis on it. Go ahead.
It's not a hot take. It's literally how I feel. I'm not trying to do this for rage bait or clickbait or get people to watch this and say, "Oh, JV thinks that Minnesota's not." I just think that they're going to literally take a drop off. I think that this roster is too heavily favored depending on Anthony Edwards. I don't see how we could rely on guys like Mike Conley, Dante DiVincenzo, who's injured. I don't know if he's going to start the regular season. Julius Randle's injured. He may not start the regular season. What are we really doing? Are we really going to rely on the youth of this team to get them in? Yeah, I think we're going to have to. I think we have no choice. I think that this team is just going to run into a stiffer competition in that conference to the point where they may be getting in at the skin of their teeth. You may see teams like the Mavericks, the Spurs be ahead of them, and you may see the Timberwolves actually rounding out that 9 and 10 spot. And that's just how I feel. This Western Conference is just too good.
Yeah, kind of to get into it, I think it's more so for me why they fell off. I think they are still going to be a playoff team no matter what. If Ant's healthy, I don't see a way they're not a playoff team. I think the margin between that 7th seed and that 2nd seed is going to be so thin in the Western Conference. We're talking about a 2-game difference, 3-game difference. You could fall from 2nd to maybe even 8th, like that quickly. You saw the standings last year. Anything could happen like that. So I think it's more so not because of the talent. I'm excited for another year of Rob Dillingham, Terrence Shannon coming off the bench. Mike Conley, yes, he's a veteran, but he's getting older. Julius Randle, I do believe he will be playing sooner than later. I don't know what's directly the injury correlation, but he's going to be fine. Rudy Gobert,
Jaden McDaniels too is on that list of injuries. I mean, another pretty big piece that may not start the season.
I think they'll still be in the playoffs when it's all said and done as well. Kind of like the Mavericks. I feel the same way about them. Anthony Edwards, I expect another top-notch year for him. I mean, this guy is phenomenal. Watching this guy, he's one of the most entertaining players in the league, and I'm excited to see another year of Ant in the league dominating. All right, let's get into our 5th and 6th seed, JV. This is where it's going to start getting a little bit spicy. It's going to start getting a little bit of back and forth because I do believe we have, maybe 5th and 6th seed in the same page, but flipped around, if that makes sense.
That's correct.
All right, so check it out. My 6th seed, I'm going to go with the LA Lakers, and we'll hit both LA teams because they're both 5th and 6th for us. And okay. My 5th seed is actually the LA Clippers. I'll move it right here. Perfect. But JV actually has it the opposite way, guys. He has the Lakers as the 5th seed and the Clippers as the 6th seed. So I'll get into my analysis real quick, why I have the Lakers in the 6th seed. And I think the main thing, guys, that I'm concerned about is defense. Defense for this Lakers team. Vanderbilt, I understand he's great defensively when he's on the court, but when he's not on the court, that team takes a big hit. Vanderbilt's injury prone as well, guys. Keep in mind, LeBron's already missing 3 to 4 weeks to start off the year with the nerve issue, so that's not the best. How much is Luka going to carry this team? I did like the pickup of DeAndre Ayton. I think that was a solid pickup. Marcus Smart was also a solid pickup. I'm just a little bit concerned defensively for this team. I think I feel more more happy with the Clippers defense, and that's why I'll push them. Offensively, I think they're neck and neck, but not. I'll take the Lakers offensively a little bit better, but the Clippers I'll take defensively way better over the Lakers is my point. So that's why I have the Clippers edging out that 5th seed, and I'll get into the Clippers for a second, but JV, I'll let you talk about why you think the Lakers are actually going to be the 5th seed instead of the 6th seed.
Well, listen, I know, my main thing has obviously been throughout this whole show is certain injuries to certain guys on certain teams and not starting off the year. Obviously, LeBron missing almost a month for nerve issues is going to be a key piece. Obviously, he's there. He's the heart and soul of that team. But I think Luka has enough talent to keep this team kind of hovering when LeBron gets back, that they could really strike and maybe, keep that fifth seed once he gets back to round out the team. I know Rui Hachimura is hurt too. They have a lot of injuries. That they definitely do. They have a lot of question marks going into the season. But I do feel offensively when they're clicking that they're going to be scary. I do feel like with Luka, maybe DeAndre Ayton as well, as a big man, I think that's going to help as well. But Luka, to me, he could carry this team. He did it in Dallas. I think for a couple of weeks, he could carry this team until he gets certain guys back. And then from there, it's showtime. I think once LeBron gets back, him and Luka obviously having last year a little bit together with the trade, in the middle of the year, they have a little bit of, rapport. I think once he gets back, it's going to be all hands on deck at that point. And I think, those younger guys are going to, see maybe their time get pushed back a little bit. But I really do think they have enough offense to keep them hovering in that 5th spot. And to me, with the Clippers, the reason why I picked them 6 is because they're going to go as Kawhi goes. If Kawhi is not available due to injury, I think there was a thing that if he plays 66 games, the Clippers make the playoffs. Anything below that, their playoff chances actually drop drastically by almost 25%. So if he doesn't play at least 66 games this year, the Clippers may be in that play-in. They may be to me, they may drop into that play-in spot. But yeah. I have a lot more confidence with the Lakers than I do with the Clippers this year.
You know what? It was hard for me to take the Clippers. Obviously, I like them defensively, and I think, they added some pretty decent additions. Bradley Beal now being a Clipper, that was pretty good. They got him on a cheap deal. Chris Paul reuniting, getting that veteran presence back with the Clippers. I think the issue with me, I'll be honest about the Clippers, and it's not even a basketball standpoint that I'm about to talk about. It's still an open investigation of what went on with Kawhi this past summer. So that's one thing that people are going to heavily be interested in, because they need to see that play out fully. It's one thing if that situation comes out on the light of day and it's something that, is very head scratching and it becomes a big issue. How much will that affect the team? How much will that affect Kawhi Leonard in general? I'm going to take that to the side for a quick second when it comes to these predictions, but that's something I do have in the back of my mind when it comes to the Clippers. As a basketball team, I love their addition of Brook Lopez to that bench unit. Finally, nice backup center for them. Zubac, I'm very high on Zubac. I love Zubac. I feel like he's an underrated center as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Kawhi, James Harden had an unbelievable all-star year. He had a little bit of a bounce-back year for the Clippers last year. If he could do that again, I feel like this team is for sure a shoe-in for at least a top 6 seed in the West. But yes, let's move on to our 4th seed, which I think we do have the same 4 seed right here, actually, JV. So we'll talk about our 4 seed right here, and that is none other than the Houston Rockets. Let me get into it real quick because, guys, I know you guys saw Fred VanVleet tore his ACL, unfortunately. That is a big blow for that point guard
for the Houston Rockets.
That's a huge blow. And now they're going to have to rely on, maybe having a little bit of Amen Thompson point guard. I know KD is there now. I think that's the huge part. They now have a clutch factor on their team. Sengun, I'm hyped for another year of baby Jokic, as I like to call Sengun, because he could produce the triple-double as well every now and then. So I'm excited for another year of Sengun. I think they have some great pieces. Tari Eason is one of the most underrated players in the league in general. They traded Cam Whitmore. Actually, I understood that move. Steven Adams is there. Clint Capella's back. I love the Rockets still finishing as a top 4 seed. I think they're going to have a little bit of a drop off, but KD being there, if they didn't have KD and Fred VanVleet, obviously tore his ACL, they would have been in a way different position. I'll tell you guys that right now.
Absolutely. And, I think that guard play when it comes to the point guards that will be filling in is going to be maybe Reed Shepherd and Aaron Holiday. Maybe I think rounding out 1 and 2, I think you're going to see a lot of playing time from them.
Yep.
And they're big guys though, like Jabari Smith Jr., Clint Capella, Steven Adams, and Alperen Sengun. To me, is a phenomenal big 3 when it comes to like the big guys.
Yeah.
I think it's great, and I think having Dorian Finney-Smith there as well as a veteran presence. I think he's injured right now. I think he should be good to go for the opener. He may miss a couple of games, but I think he's going to be back sooner rather than later. So they have a lot of veterans on that team as well.
Yeah,
and those young guys really took off. We didn't expect it to take off as quick as they did, and they really did. And that they really turned some heads in the West. And I really think it's really unfortunate that Vliet got hurt. He would have really rounded out this offense nicely, and KD would have had a nice little point guard to have working with him. But I think they'll be okay, and I still actually think they could win upwards of 48 to 49 games this year.
Yeah, I still do like him. I think defensively as well with Amen Thompson. I think Amen Thompson has become one of my favorite players, especially young players in this league. The way that he plays basketball, I feel like is so gritty. Like, man, he's one of my favorite players. Obviously, I think it's, that dream. I obviously don't ever want it to happen, but if I got to be realistic, if Giannis ever does get traded and, the Rockets are trade partner in that, I would love to get Amen Thompson back. I think he's a wonderful talent in this league, and he's one of those players that I just love watching on a night-to-night basis on NBA League Pass. So, yes, we do have the Rockets as the 4th seed. Surprisingly, though, a lot of people are probably going to be like, no way. But our 3rd seed, in agreement again, our 3rd seed right here is the Golden State Warriors in the year 2025, 3rd seed. Man, what do you think about this, JV?
Listen, I listen. The veterans that they have, mixed in with this young core, Steve Kerr really works well with those younger guys. I think the veterans are really, they should get a lot more praise. I think with how they work with those young guys, I really think they all mesh very well, and they become one really cohesive unit throughout the years. If you see all the draft picks that they've had, they really have gelled really well. I can't count this team out. I think as long as they have Steph Curry and Draymond Green, those 2 leaders there, as long as he's playing well, Curry, I think they'll be fine. And I really do see them competing, like I said, in the top 3. I can't not see them not in the top 3. I don't think any roster is that much better than theirs. And I think with the young additions that they have, they'll be just fine, and they'll be up there in the top 3 in the Western Conference battling it out.
When you look at this Warriors team right here, the Golden State Warriors having the addition of Al Horford, Seth Curry, Kuminga now being back on that 2-year deal. Will they still attempt to trade him at the deadline? I don't know. I feel like that relationship is a little bit fractured if you ask me, but I do think he'll be a 6th man of the year candidate as long as he's providing that level of production because, guys, I don't know if you forgot, but when Curry got hurt in the Western semifinals, I believe it was, he averaged around anywhere from like 20 to 30 points that 4 games, I believe, that stretch.
Yeah,
so
it was.
He had a pretty good, productive stretch right there for the Warriors. I do believe I will see another productive year for Kuminga, whether it's that to increase his trade value a little bit more or just in general to stay for the Warriors. But regardless, I love Kuminga, and I think he's going to have a productive year for them. And JV, I know you were going to mention the Al Horford acquisition because that is a big acquisition.
It really is, and it's just another veteran presence that can help out. And, it creates spacing. He's a good shooter. He could shoot the 3. He could post out, jump out on a screen and shoot from 15, 20 out. Like, it's just, to me, it's a great addition with what they're going to do there. And they like to spread out and make key passes and get
Yeah.
the ball in certain people's hands. And I think having Horford there is just another threat.
Yeah, and as long as Curry's averaging anywhere from 25 to 26 points, I think they're going to be just fine. I mean, look, I know he's up there in age as well, just like Bron, just like KD, but guess what? These guys look like they don't age when they're on the court. They look like they deliver.
It's true.
They
It's
look like
true.
they deliver in any circumstance. So I'm not really worried about Curry. I actually do think another year of him and Jimmy, we're going to see some more progress. The chemistry is only going to increase, like I said, guys. So let's get into our second seed. Yes, we do have the Denver Nuggets rounding out this second and fourth slot right here. Second seed Denver Nuggets. They had a great offseason, to say the least. Great offseason. We'll get straight into it. JB, I mean, why did you have the Nuggets finishing second?
I mean, first of all, they have little to no injuries. They added a savvy veteran guard in Tim Hardaway Jr., another shooter to have on their team. Do I have to mention Nikola Jokic? I don't think I have to. Obviously with Jamal Murray, Bruce Brown, this team to me, not even to mention Aaron Gordon, I almost forgot him off the list. I think that they're just primed for a title run. I really do. I think it would not be a shock if this team is in the NBA Finals representing the West. I mean, if anybody is shocked that could happen, you're obviously not watching basketball. I mean, they legitimately have probably the best player in the NBA on their team. I mean, for a guy like Jokic to be his size, to be able to shoot, pass, play defense, rebound, and score at will, it's just unbelievable that this guy does what he does at the size that he is. I can't see them not being a threat to make the NBA Finals this year. I really can't.
Yeah, I mean, if we get into the playoff predictions, and I know we'll have a separate video for that, but look, the Nuggets, in my opinion, the way that they just retooled this offseason, Michael Porter Jr. no longer there. Cam Johnson is now there. I think that was a phenomenal pickup right there in Cam Johnson, getting him by trade, because now that only helps Jokic, another three-point target where he's going to shoot the three better at a more consistent rate. I think, in my opinion, he's just a way better player than Michael Porter Jr., basketball IQ-wise as well. I love that pickup. Bruce Brown is now coming off the bench. He's reunited. He's back. I think in general,
they added Valanciunas too as well.
Valanciunas, thank you. Valanciunas,
that's a huge backup. That's a huge backup center that could be a starter maybe on 12 or 13 teams.
So yeah, so these guys, I think Jamal Murray maybe potentially could be in for his first All-Star nod if he stays healthy and he stays consistent throughout the regular season. I mean, I love this team. I love the way that the Nuggets retooled. I think they're in, just like JV said, for another prime position to make a run for the NBA championship right here. And you know what? I'll tell you this, with OKC, I know we're going to talk about them right now to round it off, but with OKC just winning the championship, I wouldn't be surprised if they take off the foot off the gas just a little bit to where the Nuggets become a better regular season team than them. Obviously, we don't have it that way. We do feel like the OKC Thunder will still be the first seed, so I might as well, I might as well just put them there already since we're talking about them. But kind of wrapping it up on Denver, we love what they did this offseason. Jokic, possibly a fourth MVP historically. Yes, I think we'll talk about awards in a later video as well. But look, this guy is phenomenal. He's the best player in the world for a reason. And looks like it's just a regular job to him. Like, he doesn't really, he loves basketball, but he loves horse racing way more than basketball, to be honest. Jokic is a different breed.
It's true. He likes anything but his job.
He likes anything but his job, but he's so good at his job. That's the thing about it. So let's finish off right here and talk about the OKC Thunder, the first seed right here. JV, get into it real quick. How do you have this Thunder team?
Yeah, I'm giving them ode to the champions. I mean, that's their conference. It's you gotta go through them. They won the finals. They were the first seed coming out of the West. Not someone knocked them off, and I think obviously Denver is definitely a big team to do that. But I really think right now that's OK's conference to lose. They do have a lot of guys that are banged up right now before the season is starting. But I think once they all come together, they are just as good as they are last year. They didn't lose any key pieces.
No.
So to me, once that team comes back and they get some guys that are injured, I think they're just going to be a force to reckon with. And OKC and Denver, when they link up, it's going to be a battle. I'm going to love when those two play. And not for nothing, I hope they link up in the playoffs. I really do.
So yes, kind of to wrap it up, I think OKC is still without a doubt the best well-rounded team, the best defensive team. And when the time comes, I don't know if I can necessarily put them the best offensive team, but they could give anybody a run for their money. They have the MVP. They have the finals MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. a top 3 player in the league, in my opinion. Yes, I do believe that this OKC team will still be the 1 seed, guys. As always, let us know your comments. I mean, let us know in the comments, should I say, how do you guys have these predictions rounding out? Who do you have making the play-in? Who do you have possibly missing out, not being in the play-in, and actually falling into the 11th through 15th spot? But let us know. I mean, I think we did pretty good right here. We gave you guys some great reasoning behind our picks, and we'll have the Eastern Conference literally probably in our next video. So stay tuned for that. Obviously, Jay's a Knicks fan. We'll have Mike in here as well. He's also a Knicks fan. I'm a Bucks fan. So that's going to be fiery. But we love these picks at the end of the day. And it's going to be a hell of a season. What do you think?
Absolutely. I can't wait. Like I said, it's around the corner. It's literally, I think it's a week away.
Yep.
And like I said, this is the best time of year because we transition from going out of the baseball season into the middle of football and basketball starting up. So it's always fun. And obviously this is going to be a great season to see what these both conferences do moving forward.
Yep, man, without a doubt. Like I said, let us know in the comments. As always, make sure to subscribe and like. JBM out.